Let's meet first guest this morning, a data analyst. What's a data analyst? Well, we are about to find out. Good morning and welcome to West Coast Radio. Please introduce yourself and the work you do.
Thank you, Mr. Peter, Uncle Peter, we call it. My name is Tuba, KSSADAAOPHS Mari, but you can just address me as Tuba. I am a mathematician and data scientist by professional training. I'm from Kandonku in West Coast, but I went to school in the United States from Gambia, New York University, and then Chevening Scholarship in the Cardiff University, and now I am doing industrial mathematics and applied mathematics at Rutgers University. So basically the work that I do, I'm a research scientist, but also a data analyst. And today we'll be talking about election data from 1996 to 2021, the patterns, how things were trending, but also the mistakes that IEC made in their numbering, in their counting, from 96 to 2021, with the exception of 2006 and that of 2021. Those 2 years, I don't see any differences in their numbers, but for the rest of the election years, there were huge chunks of differences in their numbers. So today I will take you through those trends and two most important events that took place in our election cycle was that there was only once in the Gambia that we have a change of power through the ballot, and that was the successful coalition in 2016, but the unfortunate event of the coup d'etat that happened in 1994. So that tells you how difficult it is to win elections in Gambia if you are in the opposition.
Okay, so tell us about these mistakes that the IEC made and how they impacted the final outcomes of those elections.
Okay, yes, so let's quickly take a look at 1996. Of course, in 1996, we have about total electorate that were registered was 446,541, which the total ballot cast is 394,537. So that turnout is 88.35%. And of course, Gambia won by 56% and in 1996. In 2001, if you look at the national total, it tells you again that Gambia won, but then by 53%. So things dropped down a little bit for him with 89.83 voter turnout. That's what happened in that year. So in 2021, there was a huge voter turnout of 89.something%, but that same thing happened in 2001, so it's not only 2021. I'll get to the mistakes as quickly as possible, just giving people the trend over the years.
Sure.
So in 2006, Gambia won by a landslide victory of 67%, and then you only have who were there at the time was Ousainou Darboe of the UDP and Halifa Sallah for DOI. Ousainou Darboe have 27% and DOI got only 6% that year, approximately. It's 5 point something, but ran it up to 6%.
6%, yeah.
Yeah, so 2011, what happened was that Gambia have a massive victory, 72% approximately, as opposed to Hamad Ba and Ousainou Darboe of UDP, 17%, and Hamad Ba got only 11%. Then you go to 2016, where Gambia had a downfall, and I want to spend a couple of minutes here, and that is, you look at 2016, that was the coalition victory, right? So that was the only time we have a change of power through the ballot box. And what happened is that it was still very close. That tells you how powerful the incumbents have been. It was still very close. In Brikama, that's the West Coast area.
Percentage-wise, what are we talking when you say it was still very close?
Yes, percentage-wise, we are talking about Gambia got a 40%, and then the coalition got 43%.
Ah.
Yes, but then there was Mama Kande, who got 17%. Now, Mama was a determinant factor in this case.
Kingmaker.
Yeah, he was the kingmaker, actually, because Mama came from the APRC.
Absolutely.
Just imagine if half of those votes had gone to Gambia, we would have still been in the Gambia.
And they would have done had he not, broken ranks.
Indeed, but also IEC does make mistakes. I will get there. They make mistakes in numbers. So who really knows whether Gambia had won in actuality? I don't really...
Please don't start that conversation here again.
We will not get there, but at least what we know is that definitely Mama was a determinant factor. If not for his 17%, things would have turned otherwise for the coalition.
Absolutely.
Indeed. So 2016, look at it. Gambia actually won in West Coast by 2,057 votes difference. He defeated the coalition. And in Janjanbureh, again, he defeated the coalition in 2016, 8,013 votes difference. So what worked for coalition, the KMC, were very significant in the coalition victory. They had a margin of 11,234 in the Kanife municipality. So I will say West Coast definitely over the years, from, since the beginning of our election times to date, they always produce the highest number of electorates.
Sure.
But when it comes to the coalition victory in 2016, KMC were the dominant factors. Of course, Mansa Konko, Banjul not so much. It's just 935 difference. They beat Jammeh to that. Mansa Konko 8,480. That was still good. They also beat Jammeh to that in Kerwan and Basse. They won, but Jammeh won in Janjanbureh and Brikama. So, looking at that, then you come to 2021. Of course, President Barrow won in all the administrative areas. He won consistently, and that is what actually gave him a national total of
52%?
53%. It's 53%.
Well, you round it off to 53.
Yeah, 53%. 52 point something. Yeah, but we round it up to whole numbers, and that's 50%. And then I will tell you, so you have the total number of electorates were 962,157, with total ballot cast were 859,560, and by percentage is 89.34. It is still a little bit, some points less than what happened in 2001, where there was actually 89 more percent than that of 2021. Barrow, of course, won by 53%, which meant, and that is why I said something, and I'm going to say it again. Someone asked me, what are the chances of the opposition winning next election? I said, if we actually go by the records, by data, only to talk about facts and figures, what we have is that the chance of the opposition party going solo, their chance of winning is 0. I'm telling you mathematics and numbers. That is success over number of trials. You have 0 success divided by all the times that you tried. 0 divided by any number is 0, so we don't need to go there. So if you base it on data, their chance is 0. But if I'm lenient with them, I give them 99% faith and 1% chance. Because the 1% chance is what is keeping you, let's try again and again. And the 99% faith is what the Gambian, we keep it on, oh, God knows. So the God knows is the 99% faith, and then the 1% chance is that, based on data, you have not won. The only one time that there was a success and victory against the incumbent, that happened in 2016, and that was a coalition.
What about opposition claims? Mainly UDP claims that Jammeh stole most of those elections. You're saying he won.
Well, that happens, right? Let me take you to the opposition performance. The UDP under Ousainou Darboe has been a consistent opposition force, but they struggle to challenge the incumbents effectively. In 1996, they secured 35.84 of the votes. They usually say 36% when you round it up. Actually, just to let you know, that was their highest ever percentage recorded.
36?
In 1996.
Oh, wow.
In 2001, their vote share dropped to 32.67%. And in 2006, it actually further dropped to 26.69%. In 2011, it fell to 17.35%, reflecting APRC's dominance. In 2021, because 2016, that was a coalition. Yeah. In 2021, Darboe made a comeback with 27.72% of the votes. But of course, this was still far from Barrow's victory of 53.23%. So if you talk about cheating and all that, I tell people, as a data scientist, I base my talks on numbers. I base my talks on facts, and IEC is the only constituted body that we have in the Gambia. Even if they make mistakes, what they say is what stands. Sure. Whatever they say, whoever they declare victor, that person becomes the president.
Absolutely.
So now we'll get to the mistake that IEC made over the years. I'll just tell you a few numbers. Since we have limited time, we would not get to all of it. In 1996, in the area of Banjul Central, there was a difference of 1,100 votes between what IEC recorded as total vote cast and the petitions.
And that's a huge number for Banjul.
That is
Banjul doesn't have that many people anymore.
Yes, so indeed. So I'll tell you what happened. So in election, I've spoken to a minister about this. I won't say his name, but I also look at the IEC results over the years. You have what we call total voter cast, right? So this total voter cast must sum up to the number of votes that are given to, the petitions that are given to different candidates. That is what you add and you call it total voter cast. Now, when there is a difference between total voter cast and the number of petition votes that have been given to different candidates, then that is a serious problem. I can't just relate this to numbering errors, administrative errors, technical errors, or maybe incompetence. I don't know, something has gone wrong somewhere. It's not just one year. It's not just one polling station or one constituency. over the years. Now imagine a 1,100 votes difference between what has been casted and one was given to different kinds. Some people ask me, who do they give it to? I said, I don't know. I was not there. I can only speak on numbers that there are differences, but I don't know who was given to. Someone told me that logic tells you it was given to the incumbent. I said, yeah, well, that's your logic. But what the data says is that there are mistakes, and I don't know who it was given to. And then you can look at, let's say we have another one in the total in the Fonyi areas. There were 3283, that is 3,283, the differences in the total voter cards, and that were given to the candidates.
Over 3,200?
Yes,
wow.
Yes, 3,283, over 3,200. Oh. That happened in there too.
That's a lot, huh?
That is a lot. It's not only that. I'll show you another place. Let's say these ones happened in 2011. Okay, the differences were not much. When you look at in Brikama, they have like a difference of 77. You know, you give more than you record. So this data is actually from the IEC public website.
But even one vote matters.
That is why I said the margin of election counting, the margin of error must always be zero, because someone's mistake or an institution's mistake that consists 0.00 something percent of the voter electorate or the total voter electors can subvert the whole will of the people to decide where they have not voted for. So you look at even sometimes there are force, I don't even mark those, 14 votes, 22 difference, 117, 22, and then you go to other years where all these things have happened. And then I'll just come to 2016. In 2016, Serakunda West alone, there was a difference of 100 votes. So what that tells you is that the numbers that were given were more than what they recorded as the total votes cast. So I don't know who do they give it to. I know at the time, you know, in 2016, when Jame came and said that the election results have to be counted because that was mistake. Indeed, there were mistakes, but are they significant enough to change the whole election outcome? At least according to this, no. But since there are mistakes, they must be addressed. I think going forward, these things must be stopped. So you look at Carnif in their total, a difference of 95 votes. It doesn't match what you recorded, and the ones given doesn't match. 107, you can look at Brikama, not 107, 18 for all Yundum, 78 for the total in Brikama. All these things doesn't match. And then even national total in their recordings, you recorded a national total of 525,867. You gave a partition of 227, 708, and then 208, 408, and then plus the Mama Candace 89, 768. But these totals doesn't match up to what you recorded as a total vote.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Yes.
I thought I was the only one that failed mathematics in school.
So these things happen, but I'll quickly tell you about something about what we call the power of incumbency. You cannot underrate the incumbent, because consistently, I mean, I was born on a Tuesday in 1995, somewhere in sometime in June. 1996 election, I was so young. But what we've witnessed is that, let's say in 1990, Gambia won 55.76% of the votes. And then in 2001, what happened? His share decreased to 52.96. In 2006, he achieved a landslide victory of 67.33%. And in 2011, he further consolidated his power with 71.52%. That's what people call it the 72%. It's just a roundup of the votes. However, his downfall, in 2016, his vote share dropped significantly to 39.65%, signaling a decline in his popularity and then the effectiveness of the opposition coalition. So that tells you how powerful a coalition can be against the incumbent. But that is only when there is unity and not when, you know, there are dysfunctions here and there.
You talk about the power or advantage of incumbency, but we have seen the reverse in certain areas.
Yes.
After Trump came to power, people pointed to the disadvantage of incumbency. Incumbency worked against Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris
in the US.
We are talking about an informed population against the electorates in the Gambia, where we have, if you look at the people who decide, are not some of us who can afford data are on social media. You look to Facebook, all the people that are talking, most of them don't even come to vote. I live in...
That is why perhaps the vote went the way it did in KM.
Indeed.
This is where you have the concentration of educated people who can analyze data and analyze the situation and all of that. And that is why political parties spend most of the time in the rural areas where education is not
But that is the fact. If you go out in Gambia to rural areas and the urban areas, most people who vote, a larger chunk of it, I don't have the actual number, but a larger chunk of it are the uninformed population when it comes to education side. So in 2016, you could see how KM made a difference because West Coast is so huge. You know, the Brikamas, then you go all the way where I came from, the Bullock to Kalajo, all the way. You could see the villages and all that. So you could see how Jammeh won as an incumbent, but KM did the opposite because, like you said, most educated people, the education institutions are actually based within.
Yeah, we ganged up against it.
yes, indeed. But okay, you mentioned the United States. I live in the US. I was there since 2014 to date, and I've been going up and down. Yes, I was there. Trump's victory. I live in New Jersey. That is like just a bridge across Philadelphia, where Trump's shooting happened. But of course, the population of the United States are well informed about the circumstances. But so many things shape that election, and that's not a discussion for today.
Absolutely not.
But education indeed comes as a huge factor in determining. That is when the electorates are that educated.
Let's localize the conversation again. So, I mean, this is a year before elections. Next year, we're going to the polls, you know, in presidential elections. From your analysis, you know, look into that crystal ball and tell me what you see. Barrow has already, you know, been declared the flag bearer for 2026. He's going to run again?
He's going to run again. I say points to note for future elections, right? The opposition's fragmentation in 2021 only benefited Barrow. Because if you look at Dabo, Kande, and then the Doi, like they split votes. If you're in the opposition and you don't come together, you split votes. The incumbent will always bring people together, those who are looking for something.
Well, he will have his minimum 30%.
Indeed, he'll have his minimum 30%. So now when you do the petitions, if everyone stands solo, then there'll be
17 here,
17, the 10s, the 5s.
Actually, and since it's first past the post, then 30% wins.
Indeed, I'm gonna tell you something really quick for 2021. What happens in 2021? And nationally in 2021, when Barrow got the 50%, you'll be amazed to know that Halifa Sallah and Doi got only 4% of the votes, and the UDP got 28%. SFL, Abdullah Jammeh got only 1% of the vote. SFL got 2%. That is half of what Doi got. But tell me, do you really think for the time that Doi has been in existence in the Gambia, that they could only got 4% of the vote, something had happened? And that's why when people say, oh no, the incumbent can lose if they have this percent, and they say, no, that's what not happened on election day. On election day, people go to the polls knowing what is at stake. They sometimes decide to vote against another opposition instead of oppositions coming together. And then the whatever fragmentations are there will only go on to benefit the incumbent in most cases.
It's a pity we have very limited time for you. Tuba, thank you very much for coming.